Well, Ryan, are you ready to jump in to some pitch decks?
I'm ready.
Okay, so here's what we're
Surprise
going
me,
to
shock me with these decks. I'm ready.
Let's get this party started and start off with Pulse. Let nobody stop you. This is our wonderful Angie, co-founder that we've been getting to know.
Yeah,
right
I spent
away.
some time with Angie in my Getting Customers workshop, so I know this more from the how we're going to go get people in than the pitch deck side.
Yep, and I've spent some sessions with her. So right away, Ryan, put your investor hat on. You already got a hat on. Let's just put investor on it. And what's your immediate reaction to a cover slide like this?
I like the visual. You know, it's big, it's bold. It's got a tagline there, which I like. Presented by, and lets me know who I'm talking to. I probably already know that if we're in the room together. If we're not in the room together, then it's not being presented by her. So not sure how necessary that part is. One thing I will say is that let nobody stop you, right? It leaves a bit to my imagination, right? I like that it has a strap line, but it doesn't exactly tell me what we do here, right? I don't yet know. I could make some guesses. This could be about body positivity. Could be that, no matter, how I'm abled, that I'm able to do something. And I know what Angie's product does. So I'm trying to go back in time here and pretend that I have no idea, no context. This wouldn't tell me exactly what she does.
Yeah, exactly. So Will always says the cover slide is the only slide that guaranteed everybody will see it.
Yep,
so
it's the one. It's your shot.
My rule of thumb, what you want to do is just change. You're going to keep a tagline. That's fine. Just do a description of what the investor is going to look at, the industry. These days, Ryan, this is a really interesting conversation. Instead of having a vision purpose slide, I say just put it on the cover. Like put a purpose statement that clearly says, this is what we do. This is what we intend to do. This is the industry, and if you can add a little bit of vision to it, but take advantage of the space on the cover slide and start everybody off on the right foot and say, hey, investor, get ready, buckle in. This is what you're going to see.
Yeah, I think that we have to remember what we're here for. What are we here to do? Excite an investor to the point where they want to write a check, right? Not impress them with our cleverness. Certainly not confuse them, right? And so I think that you want to think about, how does this tee up? How does this get somebody excited to keep hearing what we're going to say? Because that's your mission. Slide by bloody slide, we are trying to hold their attention, increase their excitement and anticipation of what's coming next, and get them ready to write a check.
That's bang on.
Don't want to lose sight of that.
For sure. Ryan, let's do this exercise based on this is a screener introduction deck. Okay. That's not presented live, and you're not going to be over their shoulder with a voiceover or anything like that. It's just bang, going to show up, and they're clicking it and they're opening it. This is the problem slide. Women spend $50 billion per year on athletic clothing that fails to meet their needs regarding menstruation, incontinence, and breast health. What say you, Ryan?
Solid. I love what it does here. I love that it brings the market size forward. I love that it talks about the problem. I love that it contextualizes the problem with a number, right? It helps us to understand, do we care, right? Because you might say, there's this crazy problem that exists, and it's a horrible problem, and 6 people have a problem with it, right? Kinda, who cares? So as we're introducing the problem, which is clearly stated here, right? Now, there's some things I think we do to dial this up a bit, but I love that it brings the $50 billion. This is something we'll talk about all the time. Bring that forward, contextualize the problem, help me understand the size and the severity of it by putting a dollar amount against it, right? So I think this does a pretty good job of at least letting me understand the basic problem. There's nothing here I don't understand. There's some things that I might want some additional context around, but this does a pretty good job, I have to say.
Yeah, let me take a shot at that. You're absolutely right. I'd much rather have this as a good start so I'm not confused. And, when you say women, I go, yeah, there are a lot of women, I know. And $50 billion, I'm right there with you. I think, Ryan, I know what you think, but for me, my preference, the only thing that I think would be helpful is to establish how many women, because not all women buy athletic clothing and not all women may struggle with this problem. So It's just a little extra you could say. If you said, 30 million women a year spend $50 billion, I'm like, okay, now I really believe you. I've got some numbers. What do you think about that technique?
I think so. I think that the more we can do to kind of contextualize that number, make it real for people and to kind of justify it, right? It goes a long way. So I like that piece. The other thing I love to see in the problem is where we not only show kind of the scope, the severity of it, but at the same time, so we show on one hand, as big as can be, right? Here's the moon. On the other side, let's clear the fence a little bit. And what do I mean by that? In this context, bring it down a bit and make it personal, right? How do we also make it a little bit smaller, and how do we really bring the personality of the problem out so that it's relatable to someone, right? We can't relate to $50 billion, right? We understand what it is. We can't relate to it. We can't relate to 30 million women, but we can relate to something like 1 in 3 female athletes experience incontinence while exercising. I'm making that up, right? So
Sure.
Don't quote me on the stats here. Don't start including this in your deck. 80% of women struggle to find supportive activewear. And the fact that current brands ignore these, that's part of the problem, right? So we can further contextualize the problem, make it feel a little bit more personal, because it is great that it contextualizes it with a number, but I don't like to see it when we just leave it as a number. We want people to feel the problem. We want investors to understand it at a level that they can go, aha, I see that, I get it, right? Experiencing incontinence, and when we boil it down to like 1 out of 3, or we make it something small that we can start to picture, we go, okay, yeah, that would be uncomfortable. I don't want to experience incontinence while I'm exercising.
Yeah, that reminds me, it's a really great point. I saw a pitch deck the other day, and it said something like 200 million people want to buy something, but they can't. And then there were like these little mini bullet points of how many were in Gen Z and how many were millennials and all this stuff. Like, you just made it personal that way. And yeah, my mind really gravitated because my kids, things like that. So whatever is going to help you tell a story. But again, I think we start off on the right foot in terms of it's clear.
Solid. Yeah. If you change nothing about that slide, I think it still works.
Yes, totally. The solution: our fashionable patented athletic clothing contains integrated period incontinence barriers and bra liners with support. We got a little diagram, right, Ryan? What do you think?
Solid. Very solid. Again, it basically does what it's supposed to, which is to reverse the problem.
Yep.
Right? So we lay out the problem, we talk about what the problem is, then we reverse it. I think it could take a step further towards directly doing that. Starting with fashionable, it's subjective, right? I don't know that we need that here. Patented, I like.
Agreed.
That's objective.
Agreed.
I can prove that. I don't want to argue with people when I say, fashionable. Like, we also don't show fashion here. We're showing something that's very much like a technical diagram. So we're saying something that we're not backing it up with the visual. So I'd rather just drop the fashionable, focus on the patented piece. I think that's great. And then talk about the fact our patented athletic clothing prevents the problems caused by, through incontinence and provides better support through integrated period incontinence barriers, bra liners, and so forth, right? So directly reverse that problem statement. Just flip it right on its head. I think the visual is good, but this is getting into a little bit too much of how the sausage is made right now.
Yeah, the product.
Right? This is more of a how it works or a product slide. I would prefer to keep this until later. Just really focus on how we are reversing that problem for those 30 million women and that 50 billion in spend.
Yeah, so let me point out what the things I really like and then just a little bit of improvement. And first of all, everyone here on this call and we're watching this, you don't need to have the solution, the biggest text. Make it small, put it up in the left corner, and make this text the biggest. However, that being said, the fact that I know what this is without even looking at the picture based on one sentence, what your solution is, bravo. Yep. You would be surprised how many pitch decks don't do that. I got to read the whole slide to understand.
I find myself scanning all the way to the end, just trying to figure out, is there a clue in here somewhere that tells me what this thing does?
Exactly. Now, here's what's cool about it is, say you want to show off the fashion, you could use real people. But let's say you're using this, just like Ryan said, like this, I don't need to see all this right now. But if you had this image and you had like a highlighted, sort of thing, this is weird that I'm drawing this right now, like this, but you actually highlight it with a graphic, or say you overlaid it of, a real great looking yoga mom or, something like that. Like this is where visually this headline does it for me. And then bang, show me the product and the technical part of it, like even if you just had arrows pointing to it, I think that does the trick.
I think so. I think it veers over into a little bit too much information of the wrong sort for right now. Here's what I might add to this though. What about the core differentiation here? Right? What do these things add up to? Right? So is the solution that are we aiming for comfort? Are we aiming for discretion? Is it performance? Spell it out here. Like, what is the core differentiator?
Nice.
Right? Is it just that it's patented? Patents are nice because they're defensible, but they're generally not the reason people buy stuff, right? So I'd like to see just a little bit more of a lean in on why. Why does the solution matter?
Okay.
Right? If we're going to do some of this stuff. So like the fact that it's fully lined, moisture wicking, you are describing your product to me here, right? Not the time.
Yeah.
Not the time, not at solution.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so continue along. So here's the market analysis. So this is 140 million. So again, I was wondering how many women. So now it's 140 women.
But that's basically women, right? So it's not differentiating that audience at all. So what you said, when we go back to the problem slide, I guess it depends on whether we're talking about just the U.S. market, because 50 billion, 1.7 billion, those would align to U.S. market. So I'm assuming 140 million isn't the global market.
Yeah.
140 million is probably every single female who's in their age range, right?
Or does athletics or could use it. Now, here's the thing. So let me pause, everyone. For those of you watching, you see what Ryan and I just did here? We actually tried to understand and we had a rational conversation, and investors never going to do that. Nope. They're not going to take the time. The fact that we had to even go there, that means the pitch deck is missing the information, everyone. We're doing it because we want to be helpful, but investors have no inclination to do that whatsoever. They're going to be like, I don't get it, type thing. So This is easily fixed by just describing what does that 140 million exactly say. Now, this is what's confusing to me, Ryan. How do we get dancewear market, women's sports apparel? All of a sudden, we're introducing dance and all those things. And so I think we're adding new information, and I'm confused.
Without context. Yeah, I think, again, like we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt here. We're trying to figure it out. Investors may not be this kind. What I'm kind of seeing there is TAM, SOM, SAM.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be the normal way that we would do that. And if we were going to do that, we would at least call it out, right? So, and the 1.7 billion isn't even necessarily, the dancewear market isn't necessarily even just their SOM, because technically the service addressable market, or the service obtainable, the obtainable market here would essentially be any of those. So this is more like our go-to market. Like, we're going to start here. I think that's what we're going to find. We know a bit about this business, so I actually know that that's the case, but that's not made clear here, right? We're going to start with the 1.7 billion dancewear market and we have some reasons for that.
Yeah, it may be a strategic advantage or a business model thing. And that's where I'm going to send this back to the founder and say, hey, decide. Like, pick a proper TAM, SAM, SOM calculation, present it, learn how to do it. But yes, we got lost, confused, but we know where you're trying to go with this one. All right, so market growth opportunities. Okay, so this is, Ryan, basically what you were talking about. They use another slide to it. We want to start in dancewear, and then eventually we want to get into all the other stuff.
I think we could honestly do that in a single slide, combine this with the market slide, and we're good to go.
Okay.
Some of the things I would like to see here still, great that we're starting with dancewear. If this is a send ahead, right? If this is the teaser deck, we got to know why we're starting with dancewear.
Exactly.
Right? We can't just say we're starting with dancewear. Like, that leaves a lot to the imagination. We don't want people imagining things, right? We want to inform them. We want to inspire them. We want to excite them around, like, dancewear because, and some compelling reason why dancewear.
Yes. Always spend time thinking about what is the investor going to be asking in their mind. And that's the first thing we all ask is we're going to be, why start there? And if you've got like a cool, interesting hack, or you've got, famous Dancing with the Stars show and you're alumni, or, something like that, great. Tell us, because actually, let me pause for a second, Ryan. You're going to get a kick out of this, right? I'm talking to a founder, and he sent me his pitch deck. And I was like, I don't think you're going to raise this amount of money because you got no traction, all these things. And then he says, oh, I got revenue. And I was like, oh, okay, how much revenue? And he said, oh, it's only like $1,000 a month. And he said, I didn't, we're losing money because we got burned. I was like, should I put that in my deck? And I'm like, yeah, lead with that, right? And then we keep talking. And then he says, yeah, we're actually raising the money because we need properties, because we already have users, and they're already putting on $100 to $200 assets under management. So not only do they have revenue, they've got massive growing amount of assets under management. And I looked at him and I said, next time, lead with that. Because you just shortchanged yourself. And it's the same thing that I would bring up here, is that founder, you got to lead with the why, the advantages. You got to give the story so investors go, oh, this is super exciting.
That's it. It goes back to what we were saying right at the beginning, man. You got to remind yourself what we're trying to do here, right? We are trying to anticipate questions that might be asked to the extent that we can, and we're trying to excite them and intrigue them enough to want to keep moving forward through the deck first, and then through to writing a check. This isn't about informing them about everything we do, everything we've done, everybody we've ever talked to. This isn't about telling them every single detail of our product. It is not about telling them every single detail about every person on our team. It's about picking and choosing the most compelling things and putting those on each slide so that it tells a cohesive story that pulls you through. You got to hook and drag each single slide, right?
I like that hook and drag. It reminds me of that, what's that thing, Legally Blonde, where it's like bend and snap, and how you pick up a man. You remember that scene? No,
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah. So I'm just adding some off-color humor there. Don't mind me. Let's move on. Ryan, CPG decks are going to be a little bit different. Showing a slide where you got a product line, and you've got what you're trying to do, and the pricing, and then your margins. What do you think about a slide like this?
I think it's okay. I think there is a place for this. These are questions that they're going to ask. They're going to want to know, what are the prices? What are the margins? And so I think it's good. We've got luxury positioning here. It allows for high margins. Looks like 90% contribution. That's great. It would suggest strong profitability depending on what things like CAC and LTV are, what repeat purchase looks like. One of the things that would be interesting here is to kind of position this, maybe start to use this to position ourselves against the competitors a little bit. Give me a proxy for what this looks like.
That's the,
we're, Victoria's Secret, not Lululemon, or we are Lululemon, not Victoria's Secret. We are, to give me something to kind of push off of here. Because unless I understand this market really well, is luxury pricing $50 to $150? I don't know. I want to understand what I'm comparing this against a little bit. But again, I think this one does a pretty good job. Part of what I'd like to see here is, we say premium quality. we've got luxury pricing, but like, why? Why are customers going to pay this price? Right?
Yeah.
Just saying premium is never enough, right? What makes it worth 150? Right? I think that's interesting to justify that here, so that investors get excited about not just the idea that like our pricing is 50 to 150 on really nice margins of 90%, and here's why people are likely to buy it.
Right.
Connect that story.
Another thing, Ryan, I don't know about you, but I'm distracted by the picture, and not for the reasons a lot of people might think. I'm distracted because if we're telling a story that we're going into dancewear, right? This doesn't look like dancewear to me. Maybe it is. I don't know, but keep the story cohesive and explain it and use the images. Gorgeous image. I think it's AI generated. If I wasn't like, they're actually trying to model around the product. I'm not too sure what the story is, but if you can continue to use the images to tell the story, and you have,
I think I might see 6 fingers on the left hand.
Yeah.
So I think you may be,
AI is getting better though.
I think you're right. Yeah, and look, I'm not going to get too caught up in the visuals, but you are right. Like, and this is where we do have to be careful, right? Anytime we introduce a visual, it needs to be doing something for us.
Yeah.
Right. So if this is in fact a gorgeous picture of their actual apparel, and they feel like they need to be able to show that off, right? To show that like, hey, look, does this look and feel luxury? And look, that scene does look and feel luxury. That's either a really nice dressing room or closet, or a very nice retail boutique store that only has a few of each item. It does reinforce the luxury aspect of things for me, but it certainly, again, like, doesn't look like dancewear. It looks like swimwear to me. Not sure.
And the fact that we are questioning this, again, just more friction for the investor.
Yep.
Okay, so monthly subscription box. Let me start this off, Ryan, because I know we're just going to go there. And this is the first thing I said to the fire. I was like, why are we all of a sudden talking about monthly subscription box? Is this your main business model, or is there a reason? And again, I'm back to why, like all this stuff. And now I know for a fact they're trying to get into stores and all this stuff. And I said, that's a lot to bite off in terms of we're going to do retail distribution and a monthly subscription and do e-commerce. So this slide was very questionable for me.
Yeah, this one's questionable for a lot of reasons. It feels like almost like one of those things where like, well, we've put some time into developing these things, so we're going to throw it in here. All right. Just because you have it doesn't mean you need to include it. Here's what works about it. $150 a month, if that's what it costs, right? It's what it says, activation fee at $25, monthly pricing $150. Recurring revenue of $150 per user is attractive. We've got the early access discount perks that can help to drive loyalty, LTV. It's a nice marketing ploy. Here's where it doesn't work for me. Subscription boxes in apparel are a historically tough sell.
I was about to bring that up. Oh, yeah.
They're gone, right? So like, as an investor, I'm immediately going to ask, what research have you done to tell me that a significant percentage of your customers prefer one-off purchases over subscriptions, or the reverse, right? Because my common knowledge says they don't, right? Subscription boxes at apparel are notoriously difficult to execute for a lot of reasons, sizing, all kinds of stuff, right? So there's all sorts of issues with that.
Yeah, let me just comment. This is what founders do, and I had the exact same reaction because I've seen subscription boxes completely die. And what founders do is they say, well, it worked for Dollar Shave Club, and look, they sold for like $1 billion. And so we're just going to shoehorn our model into that model, and it hasn't been battle tested. And immediately, like, we ask you, like, that worked for Dollar Shave Club, and every competitor after that, it did not work for. So what makes you different? So I'm tracking with you, Ryan.
Yep. So we want to be really careful not to introduce anything that is unnecessarily going to face scrutiny. Do we need to talk about a subscription box model right here? If this is not the core of the business, to your point, Ed, if this is not how, like, look, we have done the research, it's backed up, which if that's the case, definitely say that here. Right? Definitely bring that to the forefront and say, look, you might be surprised to find out, but our primary research that we conducted strongly indicates that this is exactly how our market wants to buy this product, and we are going to sneak around all the retailers, all the other DTC folks with our super sweet subscription box model. If that's not the case, chuck it out.
If you told me that, I'd say hallelujah, right?
Yeah, but exactly.
This next slide totally contradicts that, because now we have a go-to-market strategy that doesn't mention subscription boxes, and we got direct-to-consumer, all these different things. So that's the problem. But Ryan, what are your thoughts on this slide? In and of itself, look, it talks about it's not a strategy. It's an order of events. I think these seem like the market segments we're going to go after, kind of, sort of, but not exactly, because we first talked about we're going after dance, right? So we're going direct to consumer on dance. Does that mean within organized sports we're not going direct to consumer and that it's no longer dance? So I'm lost. I'm immediately lost. Like the direct to consumer, I can tie back and go, okay, I guess they mean the subscription boxes, maybe sorta, but I'm not entirely sure. This feels like an order in which we're going to approach something. So like direct to consumer, I get. High-end specialized retail, I understand. Exactly what we mean by organized sports, competition, races, conventions, tournaments. I mean, we're just going to show up at those places, or are we targeting them as distribution points, partners? This one needs some work.
This slide does not reinforce how we're actually going to go to market. How are we going to go direct to consumer? Paid ads, influencer partnerships, organic social? What's that look like, right? The retail strategy, unclear. Is that a long-term goal, short-term goal, right? How far are these apart? There's a lot of questions here.
And let me tell you, I have seen this, and this is for all of you out there. Any of you say, I'm going to go direct to consumer. I have literally seen investors go, okay, I don't want to hear anything else. I want you to tell me how you think you're going to go direct to consumer. That's it. Because direct to consumer in of itself is so fragmented, so vast, so many different things. So just because you say we're going to go direct to consumer and make the assumption that it's going to work, an investor will not believe you. And I've seen founders get completely caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Like they're embarrassed because they can't answer those questions. And investors have been so accustomed and they know that selling to consumers is really hard. So you better be prepared to back it up with how you're going to make that happen.
Now, we're assuming again that this is a send ahead. This is a teaser deck.
Yeah, exactly.
If this is being presented and there's some really smart language that goes right over top of this, then maybe what we're saying is invalid here, and maybe there's a plan for this. However, I still think that this could be far more clear, lay out exactly what we mean by this. Is this supposed to be indicative of a timeline? Are these steps? What are we dealing with here?
Okay, great.
Not to be too specific here either, but back to your visual challenge. Still not dancing. We're running now. This one I am clear about exactly what she's on a track. She's wearing what look like running shorts and a sports bra, so I'm pretty sure we're running here.
And
right?
Not to be pedantic, but I'm distracted by what protein bar she's opening. Like it's just,
It looks like the Hard Rock Cafe logo, so I'm even more confused by what's going on. I have no idea.
Yeah, we're just being facetious here, but we are making a point. Next, product launch. And now again, back to Ryan, you just talk about it, and then the next slide shows up. We could easily combine all these together, but it's also understanding that we are in prototype. And at this point in time, Ryan, I just want to speed through some of the slides here. And so what's your quick feedback on this?
You're showing me some milestones. One is prototype production, right? You're telling me a thing that has to happen. One is a timeline and time frame, pre-launch in February 2024. So did that actually happen? I don't know. Are we looking, is this history you're telling me about? If so, when did prototype production happen? That almost seems like, oh, we have to do that. Oh, no, wait, we already have pre-launched. Then we launched in 2024. So is this just out-of-date information or not? More to the point, what needs to happen to hit those milestones?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Right? I need to know, like, are suppliers secured? What's our budget for launch? Is there any traction? Do we have pre-sales? Do we have influencer? Do we have a wait list signups? Like what's going on related to this product launch strategy that actually tells me that there's something of meaning happening?
Couldn't have said it better myself. Ditto. Next, competitive landscape. And so you've got the brand on the left-hand side, and then you've got the things like in terms of comparing the quality. And this is actually, Ryan, you brought this up earlier, so they are showing this a little bit. But period tech built-in bra. This is disorganized. And once again, I got a boxer there. It's disorganized. I prefer seeing the competitors up through the top. But as far as the initial data is concerned, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take for granted because I don't know the industry, but I'm going to be like, you know what, I accept this.
Probably. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about these type of slides. I love that they used a boxer here because these slides are always a rigged fight. These slides are always a rigged fight. Nobody ever comes out and is like, I'm going to be honest with you. Here's where the competition absolutely wails on us. I'm going to pick the 3 things that we absolutely do better without any consideration for anything else. These slides to me, it's like looking at somebody's, matrix around why I should buy their SaaS versus somebody else's SaaS, right? It's check marks all the way across and everybody else gets like 1 or 2 token check marks out of 10 and that's it. So look, what do I need to take away from this, right? What do you want an investor to walk away with? If there's an answer that they need to come away with, can we hand them the answer instead of showing them this, making them do homework on a matrix?
Yeah, like by a headline or something like that. Like if they had a headline up here clearly explaining what they want the investor to take away, as to your point, that would do the trick for you.
Right? Out of the entire competitive landscape of, and look, we've also just picked some here, right? So like these aren't even the most famous female athletic brands we know of, all right? So you got to be careful there too. Sure. If you only show, you're like, I'm the best professional boxer in the world, and then you show other rank amateurs, it doesn't sell the story. It just calls into question like, well, why are you comparing yourself to these, all right? So I think we got to be a little careful here. But if the answer is, for example, let's just take this as fact, right? This is the best competitive landscape we could possibly give. Out of the entire competitive landscape, only Nix also has period tech, and they don't have built-in bras. Right? That's the important takeaway here. Nobody else has it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ryan, because this whole column here, this is very subjective. I don't know what premium, type thing. So again, that's rigging the fight. And then here, even this, like all the prices kind of look the same. Like it just doesn't stand out. So again,
there is one thing to notice there, and this is something we got to be really careful of. Yes, they're pretty similar, but it puts Paul's body at a premium price. It is the highest of the price ranges.
Oh, yeah. I just noticed that too.
So we want to be careful what we're calling out there. Is that actually the intention? Do we want to be known as the highest priced? If so, how are we justifying that again?
But I like what you said. Like this here, what you highlighted, this is fact, right? And so it's not rigged, it's fact.
Yep.
So that's going to help us. So remember, everyone, work on your competition. I do appreciate the fact that they've mentioned competitors. Like it looks like there has been some research done in that.
Yep.
And I'm going to skip to all the rest. Actually, we got 2 more slides, Ryan. Well, one slide, I just say it's not important right now. This is the global impact, the ESG slide. Ryan, what's your feelings about ESG slides?
Within certain, you got to know your investor population. Some of them are going to care, some of them aren't. If they care, show it. If they don't. Investors care about impact as a growth driver in a lot of cases. Yeah. Does sustainability mean more revenue? Does it mean more people sticking around for longer? Does it mean better repeat purchase? Right? Yes, there are impact investors. Yes, there are people who just care. They will only invest in things. Cool. Make sure that you show this for them. But also be a little bit more careful about what we say here, right? Like global impact. It's economical. Time, energy, health, money. Words.
Yeah. What does that actually mean?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
In what ways, right? How is it saving me time, right? I get that there are ways it will save me time, right? I don't have to handle incontinence cleanup. I don't have to handle, there's things I can think of, but like, don't leave it up to me to decide why these words are important. There's way too many of them as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Pick the most important thing in each one.
Moving next, financial investment, social media marketing. Okay. I'm going to make this super quick. This isn't an ask slide, or it should be an ask slide. We are raising X dollars for Y milestones. And here's where we're going to be in Z timeframe. Right?
Where's the ask?
Exactly.
How much?
Like
what? How much money do you need?
Yeah.
Right?
Like it's not clear, and investors need to know this because they need to know like what check size do you want me to write? Like where am I in this investment? And then we went to the team, and the team here, right? Not enough information for me. All these slides are out of order, by the way. Now I'll send Angie the order that
reordering slides, easiest thing in the world, right?
Exactly.
That we can do.
But just having the title and what you do is not enough. Investors want to know where have you worked on the problem before, what industry experience, domain expertise do you have, and do you have any accolades like you want to know about prize or you took a company public, you've raised VC before, and we're missing all that information. Yep. Ryan, anything to add?
Don't tell me who they are. Tell me why they matter to the project.
Exactly.
Right? That's what I need to know, right? Like Chesky Hightower, partner, advisor, dancer, actress, advocate. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a Dances with Stars, but wasn't this lady like a major contributor to Dances with Stars? Wasn't she like one of the instructors or dance partners?
Oh, I don't know. I don't watch
one of the dance shows.
Could
she
be.
Is.
Okay, awesome.
I'm going to Google it while you keep going on this slide. But yeah, to me, this slide, I need to know why these people are important, what they're going to do to make me excited about having them on the team to drive success, to pay me back my investment.
Yeah. Why should I trust you with my money, and why will you win?
Yeah.
The other day, everyone, this is fixed easily what Ryan said. I saw a pitch deck and the team slide. I thought it was one of the best team slide, and it had a headline and it said, our team worked on, so-and-so and got 4,000 customers and we made over $1 million. Like it just gave the highlights of the whole team of why they are awesome. And then it had the picture, and then it had bullet points with some really crazy, awesome social proof logos. Like that's the perfect team slide. So headline, picture, title, this is good, knowing what they do. And then you need social proof, bullets, etc., to flesh it out and give more details.
And I Googled it. Chesky Hightower was on like 8 seasons of Dances with the Stars, right? So great. That's an awesome piece of social proof that we don't want to assume that people know that. It was a small miracle that I understood that, and I knew that. Even more so, and so what? What is she going to do? How are we leveraging Chesky? Is she going to use her celebrity status? Does she have an influencer profile? Does she have a bunch of followers? Does she have industry connections? How is she going to make this more awesome?
Even more so, like that does answer the question why they're going for the dance, wear market first, right? So the story wasn't cohesive.
Could be they decided that first and then went and found Chesky. We don't know. We don't know the story. We don't know the story. There might be an even more compelling reason why we're going after dance.
That's a good point, Ryan. See,
don't know. I want to know. As an investor, I would love to know that.
That's why we keep you around more than your good looks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, so
those are fading fast.